Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. So today we have a quote from Robert F. Kennedy, and the topic is hope, commitment to change, I think hope. Some of you may not know who Robert F. Kennedy was. He was the brother of John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was the president in 64, and that was a tremendously tumultuous time in our country, time of change, mainly the big lots, but a lot of women's rights were being discussed. Women's rights made huge advances in the 60s, and the Kennedy brothers, John and Robert, were right in the heart of that. One of the biggest changes was racial. The Civil Rights Act was passed by the hard work of the Kennedy brothers, John and Robert Kennedy. John was the president, and Martin Luther King Jr. That was just a tremendous time. And of course, all three of those men were assassinated for their work. It was just too much for a lot of people, too much change. They fought against it, fought to the death. So John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. were all assassinated, killed, because they believed in hope and change. So when Robert F. Kennedy speaks, I listen. I hear things that I know that I need to hear and be impacted by. He said this: each time a person stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lots of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, these ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. And that's exactly what happened in the 60s. Particularly these three men, there were many others. I mean, Lyndon Baines Johnson actually had a lot to do with it, from a completely unexpected corner. But these three men in particular led the movement that got the Civil Rights Act passed, that just changed the world for the Black community in America. And how did they do it? They did it one person at a time. They were the inspiration points. They were the points up on the stage that you could see, and you were inspired by them. But each person had to stand up and do something. They had to go vote for someone who would vote for the Civil Rights Act. They had to tell their neighbors. They had to, when they saw injustice, when they saw women being held down, they worked against that, and they spoke out against it. And when they saw a Black man or Black woman or Black child being abused because they were Black, they said no. And that sent out a ripple. The courage in their voice, because they cared about other people, sent out a ripple. And it was just a ripple. and all of them could look at these and just say, it's a ripple in an ocean. It's this huge pond. My ripple's not going to make any difference. But what Robert Kennedy is saying, that is all of them made these ripples. And there were millions and millions, when Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous speech, I Have a Dream, on the mall in Washington, D.C. It was just packed. There were so many. He sent out a ripple. He sent out a tidal wave. These three men sent out tidal waves. Now, you and I probably aren't going to send out any tidal waves. The best we're going to do in our life is a ripple. But if you can send out a ripple, and I love what he says here, or acts to improve the lots of others, improve someone else's life. And, a lot of those issues are settled today, but they're not. The same issues are still being fought. Women are still being heavily discriminated against, and the Black community and the Hispanic community and the Chinese community and the people of color, brown people, are still pretty heavily discriminated against today. It's just been driven underground. They got to be really quiet about it, and they've got to scream really loud, we're not discriminating, it's you. It's not us, it's you. And there's a lot of that going on in our country today. And I'm not talking about now you and I, because chances are you and I aren't going to make a big difference in that racial front. That's kind of beyond a ripple anymore. The tidal waves that these great men sent out kind of changed the world in astonishing ways. No one in 1950 would have believed that the world would be what it was in the 70s and 80s and 90s and now in the 2000s. They sent out tidal waves. But you and I still can send out a ripple of love that will impact other people's lives and make them better. And we can send out this ripple of love. And each one of us can send out a ripple of love. So again, you and I probably aren't going to send out any tidal waves. However, and that's a battle that's kind of been fought, and that you and I really can't impact that anymore other than in our personal lives. We can make sure that we treat bound people just like we treat every other person. We can maybe treat them a little better because they have had a harder life than most people, and that's going to be controversial. There'll be some of you who really disagree with that thought, but it's my honest opinion, and that's what I'm saying. If you can become a sender of love and just send out love and compassion and kindness and generosity in very small ways, send out little ripples, and if we will all join in, if every person that ever watches any of my videos on this channel will join in, it could be the thousands, I hope. I hope that in the course of its life, which is a very long life, long after I'm dead and gone, all these little ripples of people who are more caring, more loving, more generous, more kind, together they can create a flow. Wouldn't you like to be part of something that created a flow that made many other people's lives better? You can. You can do it yourself, all by yourself. If you will determine every person you meet tomorrow, you will make their life a little bit better. Again, it's just a ripple. It's just a teeny tiny ripple. Don't discount ripples. That's what Robert Kennedy is saying here. Have hope that your kindness and generosity will make a difference in the world we live in. And it will. I promise you, the more of us that will do it. And of course, it becomes self-fulfilling. When you're kind and generous to someone in some small way, the psychologists have proven that that person then turns around, is very likely to be kind and generous to another person. And that person is going to turn around and be kind and generous to another person. And it'll become a ripple. And together the ripples will come together and become a wave. That's what we're looking for. This hope in the ripples becoming waves. These little tiny ripples can become a wave, and this wave can become a life-transforming flow of hope and love and kindness and generosity. I wish that for you. I wish that for everyone you ever meet. I wish that for everyone I ever meet. I will leave them their life better than I found it. So if you got anything out of this little video, I hope you will consider hitting that thumbs up button, consider subscribing to the channel, and maybe even go out so far as to tell family and friends about this channel you've found. And I'll see you tomorrow on the next Quote of the Day. See you then.
For deeper dives into psychology and philosophy, check out our YouTube channel, The Examine Life Daily, and check out our nomadic YouTube channels. Bob is at Cheap RV Living, Autumn is at Autumn and Chloe, and our editor Robert is at Frontier Van Life.